Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
Uncontrolled ignition of the fuel-air mixture can lead to the destruction of parts of the cylinder piston group. In the article we will consider what engine detonation is, the reasons that provoke it, and the consequences. Combustion of the fuel-air mixture. It is impossible to understand why detonation occurs without an understanding of the normal ignition of the fuel-air mixture, hereinafter referred to as FAM. A few degrees before TPM, the spark plug delivers a spark, igniting the FAM. The flame front begins to diverge from the electrode, where there was an initial center, to the walls of the combustion chamber. If the ignition advance angle, hereinafter referred to as advance angle, has been selected correctly, then by about 10:0 after TDC, the maximum combustion pressure is formed in the combustion chamber. At this point, the piston is in a position where the energy impact on the arm will generate the maximum rotational force of the crank. Although the ignition of the mixture takes place before TDC and therefore the piston is subjected to retarding energy, the positive side is much more significant. After all, the most important point is to apply force to the piston at the moment when the lever will allow maximum torque. It is the smooth ignition of the mixture that makes it possible to achieve this effect. The main characteristic of detonation ignition is the velocity of wave propagation. In this case, the comparison with a blast wave is very apt. After a spark is applied, the average velocity of combustion growth is 20 to 30 meters per second. The velocity of the blast wave at the moment when the fuel detonates reaches 2,000 meters per second. Of course, it will not end well for the engine. The shock wave demolishes the ignition center triggered by the spark plug, hitting the walls of the combustion chamber. The blast wave creates a resonating impact which manifests itself with a ringing sound while the engine is running. It is this sound that makes it clear that detonation is occurring in one or more cylinders. The nature of the occurrence. We have understood what engine detonation is. But what serves as a prerequisite for its occurrence? Now we are clear about the causes of engine detonation. But why is the velocity of the shock wave during detonation much greater than that after the spark is applied? In a civilian engine, the pressure in the superpiston space at the moment the piston reaches TDC is about 12 atm. The flame front spreading from the spark leads to an increase in the pressure of the remaining cavity. Therefore, the pressure, for example, near the upper wall of the cylinder can reach 50 to 60 atm. This is why the velocity of self-igniting particles is much greater than those ignited by the spark. Causes. Factors provoking the appearance of detonation: fuel octane number mismatch. Mismatch in compression ratio. If, due to repair work, the compression ratio was increased, then refueling with the same brand of gasoline can lead to detonation. It is very easy to allow such an oversight if you grind the cylinder head or the block itself, and then install the previous thickness of the cylinder head gasket. If you do not want to die the motor, the issue of compression ratio should be taken very seriously. Keep in mind that engine detonation may occur in hot weather or in a certain RPM range. Incorrect fuel-air ratio. Engine detonation can occur both in the case of a lean mixture and over-enrichment. Soot in the combustion chamber. The formation of deposits contributes to the attachment of particles that do not leave the combustion chamber after the exhaust stroke. By maintaining a high temperature, they contribute to the occurrence of detonation in the cylinder. A large amount of soot leads to filling of the useful volume of the combustion chamber, which can lead to detonation. Control methods. Given the above causes of detonation, you need to keep an eye on the condition of the power and ignition systems. And also remember the rules of gasoline selection. The most important components of fuel: isooctane and heptane. Isooctane, as opposed to heptane, is extremely resistant to detonation. It is the ratio of isooctane to heptane that is called the octane rating of gasoline. For most drivers, the choice of fuel is between AI-92 or AI-95. So 95 or 92 is the ratio, for example, 92% isooctane and 8% heptane. The car should be filled only with the brand of gasoline that is recommended by the manufacturer. You can find octane corrector or octane buster on the market. The purpose of these products is to increase the detonation resistance of the fuel. Among other recommendations, periodically rev the engine to high revolutions. Constant driving, intention, or engine operation in the range of up to 2,000 km leads to accelerated formation of carbon deposits. Consequences of the main failures include accelerated wear of the cylinder. Detonation destroys the oil film on the cylinder walls, which leads to dry friction of the pistons. Burnout of exhaust valves. Engine overheating. Increase in turbine temperature, which can lead to turbine failure. High cylinder wall and piston temperatures require the rings to conduct more heat through them. Too high a temperature has a detrimental effect on the elasticity of the rings. Electrode melting. The situation is rare and happens only in an extremely neglected state. To lovers of saving, if you fill a modern car with 92 gasoline, hoping to save money, you will be pleasantly surprised by the information about the ignition system of the injector engine. Registering the occurrence of detonation, the ECU pushes back the ignition timing. Such measures help to eliminate detonation, but lead to loss of dynamic characteristics of the car. Accordingly, consumption increases, which nullifies all attempts to save money. Tuners also be careful with calculations when boosting the motor. In particular, turbocharged engines built incorrectly are prone to detonation. But this problem does not bypass atmospheric internal combustion engines. There are fans of installing 16-valve cylinder heads in motors with pistons from 8-valve engines. Many do not even suspect that 16-valve VAZ motors have oil cooling of the pistons. Therefore, the installation of only the cylinder head is fraught with an increase in temperature in the cylinder. Tension driving. Driving intention is driving under load in a higher gear. It happens when the driver adds gas sharply, being in an overdrive gear, when the engine speed does not exceed 2,500,000. Such a situation can be provoked by a protracted ascent in which the driver does not reduce speed, but presses the pedal harder. Driving intention, especially on a turbocharged engine with a small volume, creates favorable conditions for the occurrence of detonation. That is why it is better to refuse such a way of driving. Detonation sensor. It is this sensor that registers extraneous resonant frequencies in the cylinder. Based on the detonation sensor readings, the ECU makes a decision to correct the ignition timing. If the engine is in good condition, and the correct type of fuel is in the tank, then the breakage of the sensor will not lead to the appearance of detonation. Simply now the ECU will not be able to adequately respond to the appearance of such a negative phenomenon. Detonation consequences.